Assassins. They fade into the depths of history. Though they disappear without a trace, their words will echo through the annals of time. In the words of the famous Altair, our creed does not command us to be free. It commands us to tune our ears into the GeekVerse. Geeks Creed, Episode 8, featuring your hosts, Taylor Field and Ruben Olsen.
Well, we're here. Another episode of Geeks Creed. It's been a good little while.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think it's because we've been mostly waiting for news since we focus solely on Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Ubisoft hasn't really been doing a whole lot.
They've been quiet.
Movies come out, got maybe a couple of leaks to talk about, discuss.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, which you wouldn't know, because we literally just picked up. We're recording this on the day that Assassin's Creed has launched on DVD. So we just picked it up not too long ago, and we watched the film at like 1.5 speed.
Oh, that was amazing.
It was. It added a lot more depth to the characters, I'd say.
They were all pretty hyperactive.
Yeah. So, quick thought, this is your second time seeing it. Really, really quick. Is it better, lower? How do you feel still about the film?
I can't say that the film stands out to me as being this big, amazing thing. Obviously, it's not, but it's not bad. I mean, a lot of people are giving this film hate. I don't think it deserves that much. It was still worth it to me to go to the theater and sit down and watch it because it was fun and enjoyable, and that's what I look for in a lot of movies and films these days. But rating-wise, I mean, it's a solid 6 out of 10 now. Mm-hmm. I might have given it a 7 out of 10 last time. That's usually how I work. My ratings decay over time. But no, I mean, it was still good. It's still what I remembered seeing, and I picked up on a couple things I didn't before. So that was cool. I don't think I'll rewatch it again anytime soon. I'll have to give it a long-ass while.
Yeah.
Maybe when a sequel comes out, if and ever, then I'll rewatch it again.
Yeah. So then once we finished the film, we took a little look at their extra content.
Yeah, that's the juicy tidbits here. I mean, for all you people out there thinking about buying this movie, we're going to give you the rundown on all the crap that came with this. Actually, if it's okay, I'd like to start off looking at that.
No, go right ahead.
Right away with the cover. I mean, I looked this up online. I couldn't find any collector's editions or limited editions. Not sure a lot of you would even be interested in buying those, considering what a lot of fans think of this movie. But what you can get, just a regular slipcover Blu-ray case or a 4K Blu-ray DVD bundle. Nothing spectacular. It's standard run-of-the-mill Blu-ray case that sits on the shelf. And packaged with it, sadly, is the cliche DVD menu with bits and pieces of the movie playing over a hard droning bass. Every time you press a button, it's going to play that bass over and over again. Sadly, that's not exclusive to this movie. That's a lot of problems with a lot of Blu-rays and DVDs these days. But you've got basic menu selection. Closed captions were pretty good. And they weren't just standard run-of-the-mill subtitles. There was a little bit of extra details like speaking in Spanish. Mm-hmm. Wow, that really added a lot for me. No. You've got a menu for deleted scenes, concept art. There's a really nice gallery of photos and other things like that. I don't know why you'd pop in your Blu-ray to look at this. Kind of wish it was something you could put it on the computer and maybe open up and see image files of it.
You can, I think, because it comes with a digital copy.
Oh yeah?
So I think you may be able to actually do that.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, that might be worth it to someone then. If you're an artist really wanting to draw something or a cosplayer, there is some included extras on the Blu-ray that might be worth it for you, Deleted scenes, why don't you take that away? Those were some good scenes.
Those were some really good scenes. I knew there was just a couple that they mentioned, and I saw a couple snippets before the film release of some deleted scenes, and I was really, I don't know, I wasn't so super excited for it, kind of semi-hyped. But then after watching it just now with you, my hype is through the roof. I'm thinking, why didn't they put this in the movie? It would have added so much oomph to the movie, and I think I'm gonna have to get Travis to actually watch these deleted scenes because I'm very curious to know his opinion on if it'll make the movie a bit better or what, because for me this would have made the movie so much better. So many of those scenes, they really added to the characters, and then especially that one character, which we can talk about if you want.
Exactly.
I don't think she should have been cut, period.
Yes, cut characters. There was this girl named Lara, and she looked to be pretty dominant. I mean, she wasn't in every scene. But she was kind of hanging around the background of a lot of removed footage. A lot of these deleted scenes are scenes that we did see in the movie, but with Lara removed. And then scenes of her interacting with Calum and other characters. Slightly young character, little girl, but she seemed to have a relation to Sophia and a real tie-in to the assassin story here. Tying the Templars and the assassins, you know, kind of together.
Yeah.
Spanning on their little universe. But before we delve further into her, I would like to talk about the lesser deleted scenes. The magic trick, pick one, you know. Some of the characters do things in this film that almost come out of nowhere, like just little scenes that really shows the audience a bit of foreshadowing, like, oh, this is why someone's going to do something later. Scenes like that are your standard run-of-the-mill deleted scenes here. We have Calum's dad looking at a bunch of weapons and going through some more of the assassin stuff. That's kind of cool. I can see why that was deleted, because that just took time out of the movie.
But he did take one of the weapons, though.
Yeah, he did take one. I guess they could have just shown that if they wanted to speed it up, but other than that, most of these scenes were either like slight variations to the ending or this new character Lara. What did you think of the new girl?
You know, I didn't really know at first, because I was thinking, okay, like, what is her relation? She just sits down in the cafeteria next to Callum, makes him play the fortune teller game, and
That was sudden.
that was so sudden. And like, we already had that huge scene where Nathan drops or tries to take the apple from him. Musa gives him the infinity speech, and then Emir gives him the apple. Like, it was all very quick and everything, and Callum's already thinking, like, what the hell's going on? And then this girl just sits down, and she just puts this fortune teller in front of him, and he plays the game. And then when she reveals that symbol, which
I just lost the game.
I just lost the game. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, we're gonna get so much hate. Oh no.
That's an old meme. I'm sure a lot of people forgot about it.
There's so many boycotts gonna happen right now. So she pulls down the fortune teller, and it's the symbol of Maria's. Was her name? Aguilar's love interest. Maria, the female assassin. Yeah,
it was Maria.
So it was her symbol, and that's the necklace as well. That's kind of played a dominant role throughout the film.
That was Callum's mother's necklace that he took, and he goes back to his dad in the movie. And it comes back in other deleted scenes too.
It does. So already this character is just set up like, okay, we're wondering, who is she? What's her lineage? What's her relation? Especially because now we know that Sophia is actually in some form of, in some way, she's related to Callum Lynch. Because, and I stand corrected, like I said the wrong thing in previous cast, I'm going to say it now. When all the assassins are around Callum, Sophia does see herself as one of the figures. So I apologize for that. But it just wonders, because that one deleted scene with Lara and her, like you said, like, what if they were like sisters or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I think that's why that scene is in the movie in the first place, is because Sophia and Lara seem to have some kind of familial relationship in this movie. They might be sisters, and they might not be, but Lara was talked to about going into the commons room. She's not one of the prisoners there, but she does have assassins' memories. She has a tie to the assassins, and she is part of their bloodline, but not someone they abducted and brought into this facility. She's kind of there just with the Templars, right?
Yeah. And she had that huge attachment to her book, too, for some reason.
Even in that scene with all the assassins, I almost wonder if it was, just their bloodline that was bringing those assassins to light. Like, it really brings that to Sophia and Lara and the assassin girl all being kind of related,
Yeah.
It clears it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
There is commentary for the deleted scenes. We didn't have time to watch that for this cast, but it might shed some light onto it. And if you're listening to this and still interested in picking up those deleted scenes and giving them a few go-overs, check those out. Tell us what it's like.
Absolutely. There is that other scene with, I'll continue with Laura a little bit. She was in a cafe with Callum Lynch, and she presented him with this book, and it showed the designs for the wrist blade. Now, do you think that is essential to the scene leading up to where they assassinate Alan Rickon?
There would have had to be more to it,
Yeah.
because it cuts right to it. After they escape the facility, with only that deleted scene that they had recorded, it would have been a cut to them in a restaurant, or just Callum in a restaurant with Lara, none of the other assassins or anything, going over the wristblade design, and then cutting to them invading the Templars to get the apple, right? So I can see why it was deleted, because that's all they had. They didn't have enough to shove in there or refilm.
So
It would have added to it if they had more, but on its own, no.
how do you feel about the change in story where they killed off every other assassin except for Callum?
Well, I can't say I got too attached to those characters in the movie.
Yeah.
If there's a sequel, that would have been cool to have them in there. I mean, maybe we would have gotten more characterization out of them. If some of these deleted scenes were left in the movie, then I would have felt a little bad for them dying at the end, but it is what it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're there or not doesn't really affect my view or my hype, but it was cool to see the other outcome.
On that note with the characters, and this is part that I got so excited for, and I noticed you got a bit excited for too, was briefly seeing their ancestors
Yes.
in their costumes.
There was a lot of work put into those costumes. I don't know if it was just CGI that they put in there, or if it was really well done CGI for their costumes, but we got to see characters that looked like they were straight up out of the games. Those costumes were pure video game design, clean, elegant, bright, poppy colors. You saw them and you thought, man, I want to know more about those assassins. Like, I regret not having their backstories in the movie now.
Yeah.
And what we got, that was the biggest tease.
Oh, it was. For those of you who aren't 100% sure, the assassins that follow Callum, there was Amir, who was tending his garden throughout the film. His ancestor is Yusuf Tazim, who served with Ezio in Assassin's Creed Revelations. And then you have, I cannot remember her name, but she was the one who was very silent, and she had the wrist blade in her shoes, which was, she's a descendant of Xiaojun, who was the assassin from Assassin's Creed Chronicles and Assassin's Creed Embers. And then you also have Nathan, who is the younger guy, who his ancestor was Duncan Walpole, who was the traitor assassin in Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag that you kill as Edward Kenway at the very beginning of the game. And then you have, as we all know, Musa, who was a descendant of Baptiste from Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation.
And that's very cool that we have all these ties. Those Easter eggs were cool to see in the movie. I'm saying cool a lot, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
It was neat, and I'm sad that we didn't get to see it in the movie. Actually, what I'm really sad about is that there's no option to watch the movie with deleted scenes. The majority of them are finished. They're fully edited, especially the first few, and they could have slipped right into the film and added more to it. They wouldn't have added that much more to the runtime. I think there's maybe 5-7 minutes of edited
About
footage,
that.
and the rest is kind of like green screens and unedited. But what was finished was mostly scenes that added to the film or involved the new girl, Lara. The scenes that were unedited included the dad looking at the weapons. Lara's in one of the fight scenes at the end where she was removed, and there's some green screen in that, although it's not as bad as the others. Just stuff that I would have liked to, they could have slipped it right in there, a menu option. And a lot of movies have that, but
Yeah.
This Blu-ray that we watched did not.
So, with the alternate ending at the very end, do you feel like the one we got was better when he just jumps off? Or do you feel like the one with the mother would have been a bit more symbolic and just powerful to the scene? Or how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, throw the mother in there. It adds a little bit more runtime to the ending because it was so fast in the theater.
It really was.
It just kind of comes at you like, oh, the movie's over. Well, okay, here they're all standing on top of a building in low light. Can't really see their costumes. It just looks like they're wearing a simple black cloak. And then that's kind of it. Movie ends.
Yeah.
At least having the mother there. Having his bleeding effect still coming through. His ancestors still showing up to him, and then him leaping off the building. That's cool. I could even see them adding like the eagle screech sound.
Yeah.
And then fade or cut to the credits to like the psh of a hay bale. Maybe not a hay bale, but some kind of sound effect. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Some other scenes that were included were the part where the dad is fighting with them, and he gets killed, and you get to see a little death scene with him where he gives the necklace back to Callum. And there's kind of some forgiveness going on there, like some understanding now that Callum's been changed by his bleeding effect. And we also, this is going back to the cafeteria scene. The apple scene was extended quite a bit with some more bleeding effect and other assassins showing up like we saw before. Did they talk more about the apple?
At that scene?
Yeah, was there more to explain?
No.
No?
No, they didn't talk more about it.
Yeah, but otherwise it was just the alternate ending where they all kind of survived.
Going back to that part where you mentioned the bleeding effect in the cafeteria. Now, when the other assassins popped up from the other ancestries, do you think that would make sense how Callum is seeing them when he's not directly related to them by blood in that scene? Because that's what I caught on. Is I'm thinking, okay, how's he seeing them?
That
He's
is a
not
bit
related.
jarring. Maybe that's why it was cut.
They realized their own mistake. And
Or
then-
actually, maybe, I guess we do kind of see this movie through Callum's eyes, but it could have been the bleeding effect just from the other characters.
Yeah.
And it's being presented to the viewer as, hey, look, these guys have this effect going on too. Right at the moment, their ancestors are standing right beside them, like some kind of ghost that won't go away.
So we're not seeing it at that second from Callum's point of view. We're seeing it as just in general.
I think
they're
that might have
following.
been the intention.
Oh, okay. Confuse the audience even more.
Yeah, that would have. That's why it's deleted, I guess.
Yeah.
The last few extras is a 40-minute commentary, interview, kind of behind-the-scenes look at the film, and another 20-minute interview with one of the writers or developers who.
Justin Kurzel?
Yeah, him.
Yeah. So he's the director of the project and the film.
Yeah, there's a 20-minute talk with him. We didn't get to watch those, but those are included.
Yeah.
So there's that, the galleries, deleted scenes, those are your extras, scene selection, typical Blu-ray fare.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. I have to say I'm a little disappointed in the extras. Cool that we got the deleted scenes. Not much else to go on outside the standard fare.
They did say on the actual film itself, the film cover says achieve 100% synchronization with over 90 minutes of extras. So I mean, it depends how long a time you're taking flipping through that gallery of images, I guess.
Well, 40 minutes, 20 minutes from the interview, that's 50, 60. Yeah, okay. We went through the gallery pretty quick.
Really quick. And there's 49 clips in that one part of the gallery, so it was a pretty fast.
I think there's like overall about 100 images to
I
look
think
through.
so. One thing in the gallery that I loved was the close-ups of all the variety of wrist blades. That was awesome to see the detail and work that they put into making all these props for this film. It makes me
Some
so
good
excited.
resources there to go draw off of our cosplayer.
Exactly. Yeah. Another thing too, we watched the 40-minute scene behind the scenes. We did catch a little bit of the beginning, and Michael Fassbender just it's so amazing to see how much dedication he had to this project. As he said, like he was producing it for over 3 years, and he just I remember in like 2011, like I would look up online, Assassin's Creed film, is it coming? And it was always rumored. It was always with Michael Fassbender's name attached to it. And you just think years and years went on and nothing was happening.
Yeah, and now people say that makes him look bad.
Yeah, some people do. You may know who you are, but they do say that this movie makes Michael Fassbender look bad. And I don't know about that. I think he really lives and breathes the role very, very well.
I think that was fault of the character.
Yeah?
Callum's not a very emotional guy. He's angry, he's quiet, and he wants to fight.
Yeah.
That's his entire character. And Michael Fassbender could act all he wants inside that role, but it's not going to get any better.
He's more of a android Prometheus kind of guy. Well, yeah, so moving along the film note, I picked up the novelization of the film, and written by Christy Golden. Now, I've read the book, and I can straight up tell you now, and you said it too, it's not very often that a novelization of a film is better than the film.
Usually, if there's a book and a movie comes from it, the book is always better to the fans.
Yeah.
For some weird reason, from what I've heard about this book is what the movie should have been.
Yeah. Now, granted, like, I still love the movie, great, but the book definitely had some outstanding qualities to it that you could take note of, like a lot of extra relationships between Sophia and her staff members. And at the very beginning, the priest, he has more depth to him. The guards in Cal Lynch's jail cell have more depth to them too. A lot more depth. Like, wow.
Like, if you liked the movie but wish it had more depth to it, you don't think the film was that great and could have been better, and you like reading, that book is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura was not in the book. I can straight up tell you that now. So, at least, I mean, why would she be? It was based off the movie. But there were extra clips in the book that had mentions of, like, how dominant, like, there was this poem that they never talked about in the movie. And Callum's mother always said it to him when he was little. And throughout the whole time in the book, the poem kept reappearing, and it played a huge role on who Callum was as a person. And, I mean, that would have been a huge asset to the film, I think.
That's more characterization for him.
Exactly, yeah. And, again, like, flipping through, there was so much extra stuff, a lot of good quotes, a lot of good stories and everything. Now, my main thing is when I got to the end, it's this whole, I don't know. Would you say that's like a quarter of the book?
A little less. That's like
A little less than a quarter?
a fifth.
A fifth? Okay.
Yeah.
So like a fifth of the book, it's titled Regressions. And right off the bat, subject Nathan. This part of the book covers the other main assassins when they're in Abstergo and they get sent into the Animus. So it covers Nathan and it shows his ancestry as Duncan leading right up to the beginning of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think almost right to the beginning, but it shows him turning on the Brotherhood, which was absolutely fantastic. And then it moves on to, I think it was Emir, and that covers Yusuf Tazim when he was a child and when he was working his way into the Assassin's Brotherhood, and he crosses the Templars for the first time, which is awesome. And also highlights the fact that his father was an assassin as well, which is really cool. And then it goes into Musa, showing him living out as Baptiste. And then we get Lin, that's her name, Lin, and it shows a little bit about her as Xiao Jun. And it was really cool to get more in-depth insight into those characters that they didn't really put out into the film, which granted they couldn't really because they were focusing on too many other things. But if you're looking for a lot more information, characterization, and depth to the film that you didn't find was there, definitely read the book. It is really, really good.
Like that's what the TV show would have been.
Yeah, exactly. All the regressions.
Yeah.
And, maybe something might come of that because I heard it firsthand. Ubisoft is definitely in works with Netflix to figure something out. Whether it's Assassin's Creed related or not, I don't know. I would like to think it would be because it would fit the most. Yeah.
Huh. And finally, in other news, we have the game Assassin's Creed Empire, or maybe Osiris if that Empire might just be the code name. Who knows what's going on with it? But we do have a few images that were leaked in February, and one of them might be from a scrapped Prince of Persia game. And I'm sad. I would have loved to see Prince of Persia come back. That played a fairly solid part of my childhood on the Super Nintendo. I know I didn't play it on the main console that it was supposed to be on, but it was a cool game. The games leading up to it were great. Sands of Time when it came out on the Xbox, the PS2, that was such a solid game. Warrior Within was okay, a little edgy, and then oh man, I forgot the name of the third one because I didn't play it as much as Sands of Time. The third one was great.
It wasn't like the Dark Prince. No, not Dark Prince. Something
It
Prince.
had that mechanic where you transformed and you had like the whips and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a good game. And then they turned Prince of Persia into this Assassin's Creed thing, and Assassin's Creed became the spiritual successor. So it looks like maybe Ubisoft was focusing on making another Prince of Persia game with an Egyptian kind of setting, and then decided to scrap that and turn it into another Assassin's Creed game. That's just kind of my guesswork based on what we've seen from the images and from the news of a Prince of Persia game being canceled.
Mm-hmm.
But the two images that were leaked, the first one in February was what looks almost like a soldier warrior with some white pants, very short. He's got a shield on his back with the assassin emblem on it. I'm pretty sure that's the assassin emblem. It looks pretty clear, but he's got a sword or a couple of swords on his back and not proper assassin getup. So who knows what he's supposed to be, but it looks like he could be at the entrance of a pyramid and there's some cobwebs and stuff coming down in front of him. I'm not sure what it was supposed to be, if it's from a canceled Prince of Persia or if it's from our upcoming Assassin's Creed. It's something. It just could be some assets that they're testing out.
Mm-hmm.
But that's stuff to go off of right there. And the other image is of a crowd of people, generic kind of Assassin's Creed-y background, buildings and stuff you could have jumped on. Guy standing on a platform overlooking a crowd, and that's pretty much all it is. He's wearing some armor.
Yeah.
Still no assassin gear. Who knows what that's supposed to be, whether that's, again, the Council of Prince of Persia or Assassin's Creed. Assets they're using from both games, maybe. But it exists, and it's cool to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you make of it?
When I first saw these pictures, I got so excited. I heard a lot of feedback about how these are supposedly from a canceled project Ubisoft was working on, and it was titled something to do with a relation to a name called Osiris. I didn't actually know that this was actually something that Ubisoft had in the works a long time ago. I definitely, if it turned out to be a Prince of Persia game, I think that would have been awesome, because you're right, Assassin's Creed carried on that kind of feeling in that sense.
And they did release an Osiris trailer, not a proper game trailer, but it had a bunch of guys running around doing motion capture for a game, and it puts the Assassin's Creed logo into it too.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
It's something that they originally said was Prince of Persia related, and then suddenly we get motion capture and the Assassin's Creed logo on it. Who knows what's going on? It's all a big mess.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do know for a fact is that these assets are pretty far along. It looks like they're getting way up there in development of the game. So hopefully we're going to get a trailer soon or a reveal. And whether it's going to be called Assassin's Creed Empire or come back around and just be Assassin's Creed Osiris or something,
So,
you know?
on that note, and this just clued into my head, and I didn't even realize this. Now, you remember we talked about that Watch Dogs 2 Easter egg where the guy hacks into another character's phone, and the character says,
Can you assure me that...
the project will be ready after Assassin's Creed, I think Unity, Syndicate, and he doesn't say Assassin's Creed, but he says Osiris. He's referring to all games that have already at least tried coming out or have come out.
He refers to Unity, Syndicate, and then Osiris, and then he's cut off.
Yeah, but he says there's a new project. So that implies that, okay, Osiris was definitely in the works, but it didn't turn out. That's that implication there. So it does give more credibility to this whole leak and kind of twist their turn they're taking. And I didn't even think of that because I thought he was hinting at Osiris when he says that as, oh, it's a future game that we may get, not implying as it was a failed project that they didn't give enough life to a while ago.
Mm-hmm. And then some of the other news that it was leaked along with who knows what credibility. This is going off just a random internet rumor. But the new protagonist will reportedly be like an ex-slave. Maybe he doesn't speak a whole lot, but he might have some dialogue options. I've seen a lot about Ubisoft exploring The Witcher and how they want to have some kind of gameplay elements of that in the new Assassin's Creed. So maybe we'll see some more open worldy, dialogue-y, questy type gameplay. A protagonist who's a little more silent, someone you can inject yourself into, and a freeform combat system, player progression, open-ended gameplay, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's really funny you talk about that because a huge portion of this kind of news has released, and I'll start from the beginning because we'll get back to this part on what the story could be in the progression because you'll actually, I'm hoping, or at least I think you'll actually really get into what I have for news about that. But a few days ago, I can't remember the site exactly its name, but it posted availability to pre-order Assassin's Creed Empire. This is the same site that before Assassin's Creed Rogue was announced, it listed Assassin's Creed Rogue for pre-order. And it turns out, there you go, you're able to get it. So many people, including myself, were kind of skeptical. Like, Empire was a name thrown around already tons. We didn't know for sure. But then multiple other sites started listing it. One site listed it also as having standard and gold editions for pre-order.
Oh.
So it's a lot more credibility is being added to this. Now, on top of that, some of these sites did have information about the game, including, so it's obviously taking place in Egypt, and I'll save the best for last. Now, the map is significantly enlarged. It's approximately 3 times as big as Assassin's Creed Black Flag's map. 3 times as big. Now that right there has, like, I mean...
Hopefully it's not all desert.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's supposed to have mirages.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to entail. Is that going to be the pop-in loading distance of objects? Like, oh, whoops, we can't run into the grass more than 20 feet in front of the player. We'll say it's a mirage.
On top of that as well, it's also going to have... Well, it's going to have be acting as like a prequel. So it can basically... It takes place before all the other Assassin's Creeds. So in this sense, it can...
Could it be the start of the Assassins?
You know, it very well could. This is going back really before Templars, I would think, have been around. Because Templars, I thought, they didn't really form until
like the Middle Ages.
The Middle Ages, yeah, which is like Assassin's Creed 1,
so
the Crusades.
Probably be more like there's a bunch of pharaohs and tombs and stuff you got to explore.
Yeah, but this could set the tone for the ideology that eventually breaks out into the Templars system. Now, as you said, like, the main character, he's an ex-slave, doesn't talk too much or whatever. He apparently, and this is what gets me excited, he is a distant ancestor to Altair in Assassin's Creed 1. That alone has me really pumped to be able to...
That'll tie things together.
It'll tie things together. To go that far back as Altair, because Altair, his story was Assassin's Creed 1 and Revelations, and it was done. And I loved his story. He was so cool. So to see, not so much like you're not going to see really his backstory unless they lead up to it, which would be really cool. But just to see a far out, distant relative or ancestor of him separated by a few hundred years. And in Egypt, that alone, like it had my money when they called it Assassin's Creed. Let's be honest. But it's just I'm gonna slap down that extra $50 for that gold edition if it's so is true. How do you feel about this information?
It better come in a pyramid-shaped box.
Oh my god! If they want to market it right, yeah, they better.
Pre-order now. We'll give you the staff of Moses. Turns into a snake. Has an apple eaten in its mouth. No. How do I feel about it? Well, it's another Assassin's Creed game to me. I want it to be different than the rest. I want it to break the mold. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point in time, I am starting to get a little bit worn out of open world games.
Really?
So when I hear about the huge, gigantic map, I already know right away that I'm never going to explore all of it.
Really? Oh, I thought you'd be the opposite. I feel like this is just an exhaustion from Breath of the Wild.
It's not an exhaustion. It's that Breath of the Wild opened up a lot more to open worlds for me. It was kind of cool to see all the little areas that, even though they use the same assets, Nintendo would arrange things differently. There'd be like creeks and ponds and little circles and those little Korok guys to find. And I play other open world games now and I go, ugh. I just kind of run through this area. Mm-hmm. I mean, some parts of it looks pretty, but I'm moving from point A to point B. And I go play a game that's not open world and I feel more like I'm playing a video game again.
Yeah.
So if they go through the open world thing, which I'm sure they're doing for the next Assassin's Creed, they better be good. I'm sure the rest of the game, if it breaks the mold, I'll love it.
Yeah. It's definitely a commitment to start up a game on this kind of caliber. I know when you say like you play a game that's not so open world, it helps balance it out. Call of Duty is my outlet for that because I do know exactly what you mean. I can never do more than one open world game at the same time. That's why I'm kind of struggling between. I have a few going on right now, and it's very difficult.
It is hard to balance out. I mean, I just go play Overwatch when I'm done playing a video game.
Yeah.
Time to play more video games.
Video games is the cure for too many video games.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
Just different games. When you get really sick of a game, you go play an Atari game or Duck Hunt, and instantly the other games are fun again.
So we'll talk about the release date because you found it and I found it, and it's the same date that we both found. So
yeah, October. I don't know if that's this year or next year, and it could be pushed back. I did read that it's open-ended. This is just kind of an idea. It was a Q7, Q4, Q7. How far do the Qs go for release dates?
Someone
want to point that out to me? That'd be great.
Yeah.
But it was a late year release date around October-ish. So maybe we'll see something by October if it's next year. Mm-hmm. But I want to see something soon.
Well, with all this content dropping, and especially multiple websites listing pre-orders available, that screams something is gonna come out soon. Whether or not, like, I would love to be sitting at E3, not sitting literally there, but sitting at my computer or TV, probably with the geeks for GeekVerse when we are reviewing it. But E3 is happening, and Ubisoft walks out at their conference, and they're just rolling it, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and then it's an awesome, because Ubisoft does amazing Assassin's Creed and cinematics with their CGI and everything. And now if they do an awesome one of Egypt, and like, I'll throw them an extra $50 as a tip because it'll
give
have
them
my
tips?
money. Yeah, I'll just give them tips
At the TV screen,
At the
just
TV
smother
screen.
the TV screen of money.
I mean, that would win my heart. And I think at this point for Assassin's Creed, the movie, people hate it, people love it, more people hated it. They've taken a year off for a game. This has been a long time now, and they have to really win this. If they don't, I think it's just going to go downhill.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
don't know what's going to happen.
If the next Assassin's Creed game fails, especially after the movie and the repetitive sequels to Assassin's Creed 2 and up, I can't see the series surviving. Mm-hmm. They'd have to have a really long break in between the next game.
Yeah.
It would probably not be to like 2025
Oh,
that
God.
we'd see another Assassin's Creed. How would you feel about that?
Geeks Creed would be canceled. My life would be over.
Well, then we just talk about other video games and stuff.
Yeah.
We can move on from that, but
I'd be crushed. I feel like because when Syndicate came out, they were trying to make that as like a fresh start for people just jumping on to Assassin's Creed. The movie's coming out. It was a whole new beginning. But it didn't sell as well. But with Empire, them, if it is to be true that they are starting it off ancient Egypt, it's before all the other Assassin's Creed games. You know, it doesn't get any more fresh start than that. It's a clean sweep. They have taken the year off. I feel like they can hopefully really get a lot of fresh fans into the series, and they can really tackle something because, as you said before on another cast, you were excited for an Egyptian setting. You think it was a lot very
That
interesting.
the setting itself is, I'm up for it. You don't see Egypt in a lot of other video games. Maybe some old Bible games on the NES, unofficially licensed, of course. And that was it. Those games were horrible. So give me something good in Egypt, please.
Yeah. So with Egypt, I know we talked about like the time zone before and all that. Like, what kind of time part of Egypt would you really want? Do you want it to go all the way back to Moses, like parting the Red Sea, or do you want it still to be like maybe a few hundred years difference between Assassin's Creed?
The biblical time is going to give you the most influence for magic, for fantasy, for amazing events happening, locusts, plagues. There could be so much cool crap they could do. They have all the pharaohs. They have all the mystery, right?
Yeah.
But as you bring it up into the future more and more, it's just desert.
Yeah.
That's all it becomes. It's not going to be as exciting. You have ruins. You have some old stuff going on. It's Assassin's Creed, so you'll get those peaks back into biblical times, and they'll change things up like they always do.
Yeah.
I want it to take place during those. Oh, that would be so cool to me.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed, like, it's, as I said before, like, this is it's a fresh start. It's a great chance. And, like, if they do go back to the biblical times, you know, they could really dive into those who came before that storyline, because this is where Egypt is really where a lot of, like, I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of, like, kind of like that European kind of Egyptian kind of stuff for humanity is a lot of where, like, humanity really started. When you look thousands and thousands of years ago, like it's Sumerians and all the like Akkadians and all these different kinds of civilizations, Egypt is a very really cool, unique one, and it's so.
And then there were the Canadians.
And then there were the Canadians, Canada, what formed out of Grenada.
No one's gonna get that.
No one will get it. Watch
That's okay.
Assassin's Creed movie. Listen for Grenada, then you'll get it. But you know, it would. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words at this point. You know, I'm so excited. I'm just wondering, like, eagle isn't very iconic in Egypt, though, is it?
No, it's iconic.
Is it?
You've got Ra.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the Egyptian gods.
Just disregard what I said, because I'm obviously a complete idiot.
See, I watch Stargate. I'm a big Stargate guy, and
Yeah.
I got to see a lot of Egypt through that. Also, other movies and stuff, of course, and history, and I know enough about Egypt to know that.
Okay. Then
Eagles will play a presence. At least birds of prey, hawks and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
You're going to see it. You're going to see pharaohs with the masks. You're going to see statues with big eagle heads and stuff. Of course, there's going to be other animals. Could be some snakes, wolf-type faces like cats and stuff as well.
Yeah. See, that's really it could dive right into where they got their iconic hoods from, because the hoods, when you look at the
really
shadow,
could.
that's the beak of an eagle or a hawk. Like, there's so much things that they could explore on how things began for the assassins.
They really could.
Yeah.
Actually, that's really cool to think about. Like the hoods coming down.
Yeah.
That silhouette is very Egyptian, actually.
Yeah. I know I mentioned this before, but like in Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you get to see in the tomb of Montergioni, I think you pronounce it, Ezio's crypt, and they have statues of all these other assassins. You see Altair as one of them, and then you see an Egyptian woman, and she's holding, I believe, a snake in her hand, and that would be very neat if that was taken and added into Assassin's Creed Empire, because
You actually get to see her character, maybe.
you actually get to see your character, because in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, in the Leonardo da Vinci disappearance, they foreshadowed with an Easter egg the coordinates of the future game Assassin's Creed Unity happening and Assassin's Creed 3. And that was back like a couple games before those two were even announced. And I think that's so cool that they planned that far ahead. And if they say that it's true, and in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood they planted an Easter egg for a game that was coming out way, way down the road. I love how it just all connects, because this is a game coming out now, and yet it's already added into a game we already had that came out years and years ago. It just gets me excited.
It's Ubisoft's baby, you know? They've really put it together well. They've raised it right. They made some mistakes along the way.
Oh yeah.
Maybe they were a bit too repetitive in its parenting, but it's coming along, you know? They got to take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Assassin's Creed is about to enter its teen years, so it'll either reject, rebel, or hopefully embrace the world and
mellow out into its adulthood.
mellow into its adulthood. Yeah. So, you know, it could go either way. Either way, as I said, I'm hoping people like it. This is really, I don't want to say their last chance, but it's their last chance. Either way, like if it, I don't like to say it, if it goes downhill, I'm still gonna play it. I'm gonna love it. Either way, I want to see more Assassin's Creed games. I know that the company Vivendi, have you heard of them? They're not very positive. They have a habit of taking over control and kind of ruining good things, I would say. Uh-oh. And they're in the process now of actually taking over control of Ubisoft. And yeah, so there was rumor added to that, as if is Assassin's Creed Empire being released now because they're nearing a takeover and they want to get their game out there before something happens and
that
it gets
wouldn't
canceled.
be good, because then they don't have time to polish the game.
Exactly. So that does worry me. Vivendi is definitely nearing in to a possible takeover.
Okay, worst case scenario, they take over Ubisoft. They look at Osiris and Empire or whatever, and they go, no, you guys are changing this. And they have to scrap all of it and reuse assets and make a far worse game out of it.
Oh, there's a couple good examples of that out there. That's for dang sure. Oh,
Duke Nukem Forever much?
I'm just, you know, you're right about that, because I mean, it'll either go, the game comes out, it's not polished enough. It's like Unity in a sense, or Vivendi takes over and they cancel the game, and then we're screwed. Either way, like, this could either be a great Assassin's Creed game, solid, Ubisoft gets a boost and good things happen, or it bombs and it could potentially be maybe the last Assassin's Creed game we get. Vivendi swoops in and your kids won't know what Assassin's Creed is.
So it's either the savior or the Antichrist.
I guess you could say, yeah.
I think that fits the biblical themes amongst these games.
I think it fits it. You know, it's suitable. How do you feel? Do you like?
Well, those are my thoughts.
Those are
I've kind
thoughts?
of expelled everything I think about it right now.
Yeah.
If the game comes out, I mean, I'm gonna have a lot of good things to say about it. A lot of bad things probably too. I'm gonna try and look at it critically, because I've never been huge into all the games. I loved 2. That was the best one in my opinion. And there were a lot of parts to 4 because I never got to finish it. But I thought, oh man, it's actually kind of fun now, right? But there's so many problems that plague those games. But it was the lore, it was the story, it was the characters that I thought were really cool, and that's what attracted me to it. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like in the movie. It's just the art and the assets and all the cool stuff. Just to finish off this podcast, you know, more cool from me.
More cool.
That about sums it up.
You're very cool right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very chill.
Very chill. Very mellow. Mellow is hopefully Assassin's Creed Empire will become.
Yeah.
They can take notes. Come on, Ubisoft. Well, you know, we've covered a fair amount of info today. I think we're definitely at a good note. Yeah. As you said, chill. I like that. I'm going to go home and be very chill. I'm going to get a chilled beverage when I get home.
Yeah, well, I'm in Canada, so let's go to Tim Hortons and get a chilled beverage there.
Roll up the rim to win.
Oh, hashtag, yeah, you know it. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, eh? Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Geeks Creed. Really appreciate it. Sorry it took so long, but you know, we're just waiting for that good content to bring to the good old Assassin's Creed fan, which is you, or you're a Templar, either or. You're always welcome here on Geeks Creed. So, if you want to find more awesome content, you know, check us out at GeekVerse. Check us out at GeekVerse, GeekVersePodcast.com. We're also on Facebook, GeekVerse Podcast, in the search bar, mind you. And then we're also on Twitter, GeekVerse Cast, Patreon. Support us on there. We're also SoundCloud, iTunes, Twitch, Reddit, covering everywhere. You type this in on Google, we'll pop up. We're on Google Images. Also, be sure to check out GeekVerse Gauntlet. The up-to-date notes are on our website, and check it out on YouTube. It's great, awesome entertainment, weekly games, everything. So that's awesome content to check out as well. Check out other subcasts. Totally great stuff. Hunka News, I'll give a shout out to that. It's a new podcast, a subcast that just aired. 2 new great members have just started their career and put in some good notes on that. But yeah, overall, there's a ton of great content coming. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the search bar. Now enjoy Ruben's state-of-the-art outro.
Oh yeah, I put a lot of work into that.
Yep.
I had to stand in front of my mic and do 5 takes until I gave up.
It was 5 takes?
Yeah. No, it was 1.
That was 1.
Yeah.
Over the course of half an hour.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to Geeks Creed Episode 8 via the GeekVerse. We'll see you in the search bar.